Party time. Party time. Yeah. Party time. Party time. Yeah. Drink your drinks and eat your eats. It's party time. Laugh your laughs and heat your heats. It's party time. Smile your smiles and blue your blues. It's party time. Yeah. Dance a dance and shoe your shoes. It's party time. Howl your howls and suck your socks. It's party time. Yeah. Oh baby, grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Everybody, grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. One more. Grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Here we go. Party time. Yeah. Party time. Party time. Yeah. Party time. 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 Hey. Party time. Yeah. Party time.
Yo, keep it. I said to Packer, I said, Packer, I'm going to have you on from the beginning so that you don't see all that. You know, I don't want the illusion destroyed straight away. A couple of people in the comments on every live say, Packer, don't say anything. Yeah, that's what he's there for. He's to say nothing. He actually doesn't know.
Someone said, "What's the matter with poor Packer?"
Yeah,
literally, poor Packer.
Poor Packer has turned this into a professional-looking stream by upping his end, making my bleak, fading plastered wall look like an insult. And also, he keeps an eye out for super chats that are using the QR code over there, Packer.
Oh, never get my hand in the right place there.
There you go. You can put your camera, your camera phone camera, that's it. Hover it over that, you'll get a link. That's the best way to donate. They take about 7% compared to YouTube, which is about 25-30%. So, but YouTube's any donations, very happy. You're all very generous last time, and it gave me a boost because, as most of you know, I've quit my business. So I'm a professional YouTuber and writer now. I won't go on about the book too much. Just been reading. It's quite funny, actually, because I haven't... Oh, look. The real book. Oh, look at that. I haven't actually read it. I haven't sat down and read the whole thing. But I'm doing this little bit of marketing. You might have seen it. A couple of you have, I know. Put it on TikTok, got about 600 views. And I've been told by people who do this professionally, every day, just the cover, read a little bit, that's it. Not buy on Amazon, not any promo, nothing like that. It says me reading from Love in the Time of Nudie Mags. And then 3 hashtags on Schultz. Anyway, I've got to get something else in. If you're new here, this is a community that has been building up over 10 years. So a lot of us here know each other quite well. So there will be quite a lot of yapping before we get into the actual reaction video. But I'm just going to put a fan on. I'll put a pinned comment with a timestamp So if you want to avoid all the nonsense at the beginning, you can just click on that timestamp and it will take you to right when we get into the video, which is a Mark Dice video. Now, this video isn't about attacking any ethnic or racial or minority groups. This video is about the Overton window, and you know why I've got to say that, but it is true as well. But it's essentially a reaction to a Mark Dice video, but it says so much about where we are and where we've come, but we'll get there anyway. Let's say a few hellos before all the riffraff turn up. Early doors. I know it's early doors, but I'll tell you why. Because I'm working tonight. You know what? I left my business and I thought, this is more like it. Wake up Monday morning. No thousands of emails, not thousands, hundreds. But, half of them will answer, and then I'll have to answer them. I've said this loads of times. All that sort of lark. But the transition period, having to pass things over, onboarding stuff, offboarding stuff, then having to have meetings like with my business partner that go on for hours, slight disagreements here and there. And, I could sense that he thinks I'm coming back. I might, I guess, but nah, man. And I've just got to smash it. And you know what, people? I've read those reviews. There's about 17. I'll tell you what. Someone left me a 4-star rating. They didn't write the review. They just left. You can just because on the UK site now it's 4.9 out of 5. Devastated. Absolutely devastated. Even though the algorithm likes a couple of low ones because it makes it look less like you've curated it by ringing up all your best mates or your Substack and YouTube followers. But yeah, when I thought, right, you've had your week off, which wasn't a week off anyway, you've actually got to start working. God, it's a lot of work because I'm going to go wide. It's called Going Wide. My book isn't published by Amazon. My book is published by, let's see if we can get that focused. Ugly Mink. Yeah, which means it can be sold anywhere. It's not an Amazon ISBN either. It's my own. And my first novel was in Amazon and Borders and all that. So I'm going to go through that palaver. I'm trying to get I contacted Linda Lasardi's agent. I want a Linda Lasardi quote on the back. For those of you who've read it will know why that's funny. I met her. Wait till you read it. It's the shocker, man. Oh, my life. But yeah, I haven't actually read it. I haven't sat down and started at the front and sort of got to the end. I'll tell you what, it's quite good. But this is what I wanted to say. Is Doc Shelley in here? Hello, Doc Shelley. And a few others who I know you are. Some of the things people have been saying in the reviews is lovely. It's quite a lot as a writer. I mean, I know I take that risk because it could be shit. It could have been rubbish. And even mates would be sort of like, I had a mate say something about something I published years ago, not a novel, just like it was more like a little anthology of aphorisms. And he in the review, because I asked him to review it, he said, and he was right. He was absolutely right. I was only about 21, but he said, in places, words to the effect of, in places shows signs of a potentially good writer. I was like, what? Whereas actually he was spot on because, I hope he's changed his mind now. I hope those signs have come true. But it's lovely. It's lovely what people have said. And then there's ones where I have no idea who they are because they're just someone who's bought it. One of them, I don't know if it's a scrub, but one of them says, I bought my husband this book. He said it's the funniest book he's read in 25 years. Now, if you're a creative person...
That's Mrs. Packer put that.
No way.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, no, she's been sat over there listening to me laughing to it, yeah.
That's lovely, man. Well, there you go. I didn't know that. But but you've only read one book in 25 years, though, so you've just hurt me hard.
Don't tell them that.
No, but my point is, things that people say, they matter to me. They matter to me because I want people to enjoy it. I want people to get something out of it. But that damn AI summary, I keep telling them about it. They keep getting rid of it, and then the next day it updates and it's the same. People say the pacing is awkward. No one says that. Anyway, enough about that. Hello, humans. How are you, son? IR is on the phone. JP, he says he's going to be, what's the word? I keep forgetting. He said he was going to be not lingering. What do we call them?
Lurking.
Lurking, that's it. He said he's going to be lurking. I can't see it. Mr. Bontoft, I did find that quite funny. I'm running on Dartford meantime. It's always meantime in Dartford. Trust me. Hello, James from Philadelphia. There you go. You know what? I would have been even later because I was uploading my YouTube short and my TikTok short, which you have to do around the same time each day. That's part of it. And while I was doing it, it's when I went to my desktop to put it up, it said live upcoming, and it was like 10:35. That was the time it started here, and I thought, hang on a minute, that's come around a bit quick because usually I'll start about 11:30, don't I? And so I had 20 minutes to get everything done, and it usually takes me about an hour. So yeah, 2 minutes was not bad at all. Okay, this is an interesting one. Where is he? My man, my John C. Lilly man just left a comment that sounds interesting. Where is he? John C. Lilly, I can never remember what it's called, the something coincidence control center. His name is to do with a doctor in the 60s called John C. Lilly, who injected himself intravenous LSD. I mean, I've done it, but not at the quantities he did. And while he was on it, he was the first person that's in written to say far out. Because while he was enjoying his massive liquid acid hit and pretending it was research, 60s Harvard or something, he thought, better not come down because I'm nearly understanding the mechanics of the universe here. I'll have some more. So he goes into his laboratory, picks up another spike and thinks, that's the one. Because you can make decisions like that when you've injected LSD. And he has it, but he uses the wrong one. It's actually full of essentially some kind of bleach, like a syringe cleaning fluid. Puts him in a coma, but because he's in a coma, his brain isn't strong enough to sort of eradicate the acid, so he's tripping for like a couple of weeks in hospital. This fella will tell you all this. This is in the book called The Center of the Cyclone. The follow-up book is called Programming and Reprogramming the Human Metacomputer. He's off his head, man. It's so funny. He ends up talking to dolphins and all that. And he says that I went so far out after injecting bleach and going into the coma. He said these two lights began circling and they were saying to him, it's not your time yet. He said, but it was the most far out I'd ever been. Yeah, man, far out. And it was such an obscure book. I was about 16, where there used to be bookshops you could go into and buy those. They're essentially PhD theses that used to get published in paperback. All PhD theses get published, usually by the university press and lost in the library and never seen again. But in those days, you remember those old bookshops and, amazing covers, just one color, a circle, a triangle, and it'll be something like The Conventions of Physics by someone you've never heard of. Well, Dr. John C. Lilly was one of those. But those two books are a man going like this because he took too much acid. Some people still rate him. Who knows? But he says, Chris, you got a name drop on Academic Agent stream earlier this week. One of the guys cited your account of some drug having a worse detox than heroin. I quite like Academic Agent. He seems to get a lot of stick from people, but he seems like an all right bloke for me. He's had me on his show a couple of times, I think, over the years. Easy to talk to. Yeah, benzos, idiots, absolutely idiots. But there you go. These suggestions for words that I couldn't think of.
You've
Rusty
discovered me
says
and Stephen Fair, haven't you?
oh, this T-shirt was white this morning. You see, it's all like knackered. Hang on, like, see, it's all rough and sort of. This is about 25 years old. I mean, it kind of shows, doesn't it? But it actually looks worse than all that. Look, I'll try and give you a bit of a close up. There you go. And in Cambodia, they don't rate that sort of thing. You know, in England, you're going to like a high-end clothes shop and pay through the nose for some clothes that are ready worn. But when I put this on, my missus is like, "Come on, you got new T-shirts." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know, I like it. It's very light fitting. It's very hot out here." But they, you know, because it's a very poor country. No way, that looks very impressive. Albatross has gifted 10 memberships. So to that. Nice one. You have to have it. I don't know if it's set up as a default, but check your settings, people, in your YouTube account. You have to have it on so that you accept. They go out randomly, but 10 people have got a membership. And that is worth something these days because we have chats. We had a couple earlier this week. There were weird times for the UK. There was just like a couple of us in one of them. But we do live chats on Discord. So there is actually perks. Right. Thank you, Albert. Very generous, very kind. And I hope whoever gets one of them enjoys it, enjoys having a membership. Because this is full time now, I'll get more of those done. You know, I'm pushing it up. You must have noticed the more videos I've been making. Last thing before we go, if you make a donation using that Buy Me a Coffee, the link's in the description as well. If you're not getting any joy out of that tab, let me know in the chat, and I can get it up on the screen, and you get your moment of glory, and which is only right because super chatters do. So there you go, lovely. Absolutely lovely. So what happened? We all know what's been going on. The Nick Fuentes Piers Morgan thing isn't going anywhere. It's still growing. In this information age, right, so where are we? Because I need to timestamp this. 1744, I can remember that. Gone. In this information age, things that happen, even sort of significant things, they sort of come and then, you know, they get rinsed for all their political or economic worth, and then something else comes along, and you know, supposedly people have got the attention span of a goldfish and all this love. I don't necessarily believe that, you know, but that's not what we're here for today. But that Fuentes thing, he's everywhere now. He's probably doing 2 podcasts a day. And other people who just would not have interviewed him are having him on. You know, if you can get Fuentes on now, you're going to smash it. You're going to get loads of new subscribers. You're probably going to get probably not any advertising revenue, but you're certainly going to get a lot of views. Now, Turning Point USA, which was Charlie Kirk, rest in peace. That was his big thing. Charlie Kirk went to university. He actually went to the university, Penn State. You know, Sam Richards, I sometimes do reactions to them where they live stream their seminars to a lecture, all of 700 students. Well, Charlie Kirk was there. And he said to Sam Richards has told this story. He said to Sam Richards, he said, I don't think this university lark is for me. There's not enough political engagement. And why would there be? Because they're clients. You know, they're students, like a lot of foreign students, because they pay to do it. So it's good for the university. And it's not a question if you've got to be bright to go to university. Now you've just got to apply and have the money. That's it. You know, in my lifetime, I saw that switch. There was like 2 people I knew in Dartford who went to university, and one of them was me. It was like, you know, there was a time when intelligent people went. And if you know, you'd know if you'd got there because they were different. Look at the young ones. when I was a kid and Ben Elton wrote The Young Ones and everyone loved The Young Ones, you know, if you're around my age, which believe it or not, shocking, I know, I'm 53. Yes. Well, I know you thought I was about 35. It's weird. But I didn't even know what students were. I didn't know that The Young Ones were students. I didn't get that part of it because I was about 11 or something. But if you consider them as students, you know, look at them. Rick, you know, with his like fascists and all that, calling people that was in the early 80s. If you said to him, "Have you paid your taxes?" He'd go fascist, you know, and Vivian and Neil the hippie, and they were very different to people who didn't go to university. You know, who weren't studying 1968 Night of the Barricades in Paris, who weren't reading whoever. You know, they were culturally different people. You know, nowadays I can remember the transition. It must have been like early 2000s, and I was going out. I was living in Soho and drinking in Soho, and you'd meet someone sort of just run of the mill, mediocre, boring conversation, not better than nothing, but he or she had sat down next to me and started it. And I'll be like, "So what do you do then?" I was like, "What, you in media or something? You know, drinking around here?" And they'd be like, "No, I'm at university." And you just think, oh, you know, why? You know, you come across like someone who stacks shelves like full time, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're doing, it might be, you know, and you know, I'm not digging people out for that, but you know, there was once a time when you knew that someone was likely a student because they were clever and interesting and curious, and they didn't follow the herd. Down to Greece on holiday, loving the 90s. There you go. Yeah, Blair had everything to do with it. It's ridiculous. Hello, Toffee. Hello, Ams. IR says there were 3,000 places and 12,000 applicants when I applied. Needless to say, I didn't get in. Yeah, I mean, you can't, it's almost impossible to not get a place at uni now because it's you know, supply and demand. If the sort of people, if entrepreneurs found out that there was 50,000 people a year applying for university but not getting in, they'd make universities for those people. You know, they'd call them something different, and they'd lap them up because they'd get government funding, they'd get funding from the people paying to go, they'd get advertising, you know, like football stadiums, isn't it? Look at you know, I said to a mate years ago, I said, it won't be long before Arsenal will be playing McDonald's FC. And he went, "What do you mean won't be long? As if there isn't already a Red Bull football team." And then he reminded me in America, Bayern Munich. That's Bayern Pharmaceuticals. It's like, what is going on? Absolutely absurd. It looks like we've got a super chat. First one of the day, and it's Mad Lizzie. Bless you, Mad Lizzie. Happy Christmas, darling. Oh dear, it doesn't look good. Hi, Chris. I just got out of hospital after 2 months of being homeless. Lizzie, bless you, darling. Of being homeless on the streets. I'm back home now. I bought your book. I've not read it though. Looking forward to it though. I hope you're having a lovely Xmas. Fair play for getting out of that cycle. You know, I know I've been there. I know what it's like. You spoke to me, I think, over Christmas. Last Christmas when I had all my intensive care lark. I think you left some messages on Substack. Correct me if I'm wrong. But 2 months homeless this time of year as well. Fuck that. Oh, Lizzie. Look after yourself, darling. You've always got my email. If you want to ping me an email, always able to chat. We can sort out a video chat. I can listen. If you just want to chat. I have to wait till the missus ain't about though. Gets a bit jealous. Thank you, Lizzie. I hope you're certainly almost certainly gonna have a better one now than you would have done if you were still out there. It ain't pleasant. Damn. Booze back on the old demon drink, was it? You don't have to say anymore. Thanks for the donation and thanks for buying my book. I hope you'll enjoy it. You probably will enjoy it in a certain way because there's a lot for people who've had problems with substances or solutions with substances. You can see a lot of the seeds of those sort of behaviours in there, which you might not if you don't know what you're looking for. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Congratulations to Lizzie. Right, so Mark Dice, Turning Point, USA, Charlie Kirk's thing. He was at Penn State University. He said to Sam Richards, it's not politically engaged enough. I want to actually be doing something. I want to feel like I'm making a change. You know, it's the clock's ticking for all nations of European descent, and it could be over. Now, I'll save what I was about to say for another video, but I've got some kind of optimistic thing about how things can change quite rapidly, but we'll get there. So Mark Dice does a video about Turning Point and who spoke there, who was like the keynote speaker, what was said, how the crowd reacted. And what I want to ask you to do, if you can, is take yourself back to 5 years ago, which is nothing, is it? That's a gnat's whisker. 5 years ago, you could not say that. I could not say these things, even though I've put a caveat in the description. I put a caveat at the beginning of the video. I'm not digging out any ethnic, racial, or minority groups. That's not what this is about. This is about changes in the Overton window and subjects we're allowed to speak about. And Mark Dice draws attention to that in his video. Now, I did intend to record his old video, chop out all the advertising and all the irrelevant bits, but I got caught up trying to learn how to move things from my Google Drive to the Google Drive on my phone. But I'm sure we'll be all right. I'm sure we'll cope. Right, let's share the screen and get on with it. Let me know if there's an echo, and I'll put my headphones on, but if I don't have to, I won't. Obviously. But if I do, I will. So you should see Mark Dice. I can get rid of that. So we'll do a little test run.
Turning Point USA's biggest annual event, AmericaFest, or AmFest.
How was that for echoes?
I had no echo.
No echo? Audio all good, people? There was plenty of them. Well, Scrubs was a typo, a spoko that become a meme. Nice one, Steve. Good to see you as well. Oh, Pags is suggesting they're doing it. They're doing it so that we put our hands up, so to speak. Okay. Right, so let's see what Mark Dice has got to say. And listen, people, if you're going to write in the comments, you interrupt too much, just let the video run. Just go and watch the video. Go to Mark Dice's channel and watch it. That's all right. I don't mind. Here we go.
That's kicked off last night with fireworks, both literal and figurative. But what happened between Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson is just a microcosm of a much larger issue.
And there you go. What happened between Ben Shapiro? I mean, really, who can stand the fella these days? It's just disgusting. And Tucker Carlson, who's not great, but, you know, he's certainly better. These things take time, small steps. But you got to remember that when Charlie Kirk left, oh, thank you, darling. Look at that. Look, who gets a little bit of Christmas cake handed to them? That was made by Windy Willow, who comes in the chat. Thank you, love. He left university and turned Turning Point into $1 million, multi-million dollar neocon sort of, but there's a debate there. But because Charlie Kirk died, was murdered, was assassinated, Shapiro, everyone thought Tucker Carlson would get the keynote speech, but Ben Shapiro got it. He also donated $1 million to Turning Point. It's amazing. Can I do that live speak? No, love. No, I'm all right. No, thank you, love. Yeah, it all gets a bit weird, but Dice will explain all this to us. Go on, Dice. Say it how it is. It's lovely to see so many people here, some OG scrubs.
This isn't just about two major media personalities having a beef over Israel's influence in America.
Right, just that. Just saying that Shapiro and Tucker Carlson have got a beef with each other because Israel has got too much. There's too much engagement and tax dollars going to Israel, and the involvement is too much. You couldn't say that on YouTube 5 years ago. It was that's you demonetized, gone. No, we don't have that chat. And I asked myself, we know that Jack Dorsey said they were paid by the Democrats to censor dissident right and dare I say conservative opinions. We know that Facebook, he said it. Zuckerberg come out of it. He said, we were told that we had to do this, and here's a bit of money, and if you don't do it, there will be, we can throw regulations at you and all that sort of stuff. And I wonder whether our YouTube, do social media platforms look at the Overton window and decide whether things are acceptable now, or do they think there's a chance we're going to become obsolete if we don't let people talk about the things that they clearly want to? Let me know in the chat, or if you're not watching this live, let me know in the comments. What way round does that work? Or is it nothing like that at all? Is it just YouTube like, come on, it's all right, I think it's blatantly obvious, that MAGA is America first. Turning Point is America first. But you do get the impression that there's another first for a lot of people. And, you see these things where they ask people questions. They ask a lot of immigrants questions. If this country was to go to war with your country of birth or your country of ethnicity, would you fight for America or England? Or would you fight for your country of ethnicity? And most of the ones I've seen, and it's a small sample size, admittedly, but without a thought, they just say, Venezuela or Israel, or just not they're the host country that took them in and gave them an amazing life. And they went there because it was better. Yeah, if it came to blows, nah. And that says a lot. It says a lot about multiculturalism for a start. Anyway, roll on.
This is about the neocon plot to try to hijack and redefine MAGA, especially in a post-Trump presidency, as they have their eye set on 2028. Erica Kirk kicked off the event looking and sounding a lot more focused and...
Yeah, I'm glad she stopped crying. That was ridiculous. Every time I saw her, and yeah, I get it. I don't get it. I've never seen. I've never had to lose. I've never had someone I loved assassinated. I get the tears, but to go on a tour, and I think she should have just took some time out. But there you go.
Determined than she did during her recent media blitz promoting Charlie.
There you go.
His book, Stop in the Name of God, which he had written before his death.
Hello, Kai. How are you, son?
Very uncomfortable and sad appearances. Obviously, still not anywhere close to being through the stages of grief. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but I think her doing any media appearances like that at all, and even releasing the book, was sad and the wrong decision. That book should have been put off for 6 months or until next year. There's no reason for a still obviously and understandably grieving widow to be going and doing media appearances and breaking down into tears during every interview. But last night, she was very composed. She made it clear that the organization was endorsing J.D. Vance as Donald Trump's successor. And then you got to wait to see who the very first speaker was of the evening.
Yeah, but Vance is a tricky one. Vance is... There's problems, isn't there, with J.D. Vance and stuff I didn't know.
Evening after her.
We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years.
Midterms are coming up next year. It's going to come quick.
We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 and the most resounding way possible.
And then the new featured speaker of the evening, Ben Shapiro, took to the stage, which is extremely interesting. And stay tuned because I'll get into all of those details. But first, real quick, this is probably the last video.
Right, we don't need to see. You can buy. Oh, hang on. I thought it was advertising. He probably was.
2026. Of course, I have all the clips lined up, and I will show them along with my truly independent and politically incorrect commentary. And the reason why I say he's the new featured speaker of the evening is because when AmericaFest was announced and as it was approaching, up until very recently, little Ben...
I love Steve Bannon. I wish Steve Bannon was the president of the United States. It would never happen, but... What a political strategist Steve Bannon is. Good Lord.
Was not on the speaker's list until shortly after the Daily Wire donated $1 million.
So don't miss that, people. He wasn't even going to appear. Ben Shapiro was not going to speak at Turning Point USA. This is their AmericaFest. It's their big annual show, also known as AmFest. And he wasn't even going to appear. It's not like Charlie Kirk was assassinated and they thought, oh, well, you know, Shapiro's a big name. We'll move him up the ranks a bit. He's not. He wasn't even on the website saying who's speaking at the convention, at the Neocon Con. And yet, yeah, here's $1 million. Now, I don't know whether, you know, there was some kind of I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine, but I yes, I do. I actually do.
To Turning Point USA shortly after Charlie Kirk's murder. And you don't have to just trust my memory of this. We have the Wayback Machine because being your trusted media analyst, regular viewers know I always have the receipts. And so web pages are archived and the archives are dated. And you can go back to any of the archives from as soon as AmFest 2025 was announced up until the latest archive, which was at the end of October. And you can see that little Ben was not on the list whatsoever.
Like not even there, nothing. Didn't want him, wasn't required. You know, they would have sat down as an organisation. Who's saying who is supporting the you know, our agenda? Who is, and you know, Turning Point's a MAGA organisation. Who is supporting that? Who is behind it? And someone, like they said, well, not obviously not Ben Shapiro. You know, you know, he's Israel first. He is, and I respect him for that. You know, I think people should be, they should be their ethnicity first. But don't play two hands in the same game. That's cheating.
Since he is the leader of the Jewish clique, consisting of him mainly and Mark Levin and Josh Hammer and their Shabbos going Ted Cruz, who literally every single day between them one or multiple of them will complain about Tucker Carlson on social media. And I give it a 98% probability that will continue on Christmas and through Christmas vacation.
And I tell you what, people, that's definitely worth watching. If you keep an eye on Ted Cruz on Twitter, X, almost every day, sometimes every few hours, they're just slagging off everyone that everyone's like getting behind. You know, they're trying to sort of totally defame Tucker Carlson at the moment. Give me a second, people. It's only fair. Lord knows what you're going to see on the screen now, but I've just got to do this because it was a bit of a rush job starting up. But it's only fair. Come on, computer, you can do it. There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh. Don't laugh, I'm a paint shop pro. There you go. James from Philadelphia, Jimmy from Philly, wiped from the internet, but here. He donated on Buy Me a Coffee, and Chris bought 5 futures. It says, I haven't been around for a while, but I hope you're doing well, Mr. Dangerfield. Have a great Christmas and best wishes for the new year. And to you, my friend, you and yours. That's very, very kind of you both. Thank you very much. Now, back to Shapiro. Very kind people, thank you. I'll take it back a bit because I have rambled a bit.
Them, one or multiple of them will complain about Tucker Carlson on social media. And I give it a 98% probability that will continue on Christmas and through Christmas vacation.
It's an orchestrated attack. They are what I would suggest. They are working together, and it's sort of like, right, you do Thursday, I'll do Friday, you do Saturday. And anything you can dig up from his past. I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't got teams of like researchers just getting. They're trying to destroy Tucker Carlson. Okay, all right. I think Tucker Carlson's got a little bit more integrity than Ted Cruz, but that's just my opinion.
On Christmas Day. So, as expected, little Ben started his speech by attacking Tucker Carlson for interviewing that right-wing streamer Nick Fuentes. Now, what was that, like 2 months ago?
For example, if you host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes.
Mark Dice will go on to talk about this, but Hitler apologist? No. Has never said that. Has never, this is what we used to call the left out for. Literally Hitler. We'd call them out for using these kinds of slurs. We'd call them out for taking something out of context and magnifying it and weaponizing it. Ben Shapiro was famous for this. That's what the right used to do to the left. You can't say that. Let's have a logical, rational debate about this. But all of a sudden, it's fine just to lie, just to be deceptive. And he starts his speech straight away. This is Turning Point. This is AmericaFest. This is their big thing. It's meant to be a celebration of conservative politics, of MAGA politics. And he opens up having a go at Tucker Carlson for having a rational debate with Nick Fuentes. It doesn't matter what Nick Fuentes thinks. Tucker Carlson wanted to know, why is this kid in his mum's basement getting so many views? Why is he really clicking in to young people, especially young white men? Let's find out. Let's see what he's got to say, because everyone says this. They do things like Ben Shapiro. They take things out of context. They blow them up. Okay, well, that's the bullshit. Let's get him on. So not only does Shapiro bullshit about Fuentes, but he uses it as like a double bubble attack to take out Carlson as well. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the crowd. And this will go, I've seen this Mark Dice video, by the way. This will go on throughout when people mention things about other nations seeming to be the priority, tax dollars going to other nations, funding wars in other countries, certain types of suggested ethnic cleansing and the like. But listen to what happens. I think, look at Shapiro's face right there. That is a microaggression right there. That is an angry man. That is an angry man. Because I think he thought he was going to get a very different response. I think he thought he was going to get a different response. But listen, they're not booing Fuentes. They're booing Shapiro. There's the audience, and I can say this because I know what comes later. But I want to tell you that so that you can see it in context that you haven't been given yet. And Shapiro knows it at this point. I'll take it back. But it's quite something. Listen.
What was that, like 2 months ago?
For example, if you host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes,
I mean, there's a few claps and that, but that didn't go down as well as he thought.
you know, the Nick Fuentes who said that the Vice President of the United States is a, quote, fat gay race traitor married to a Jeet.
Yeah, that sounds like a joke, really, to me, doesn't it? I mean, if you don't know, Jeet is a racial slur, but, you know, calling someone a fat gay Jeet, to people of Ben Shapiro, to some people of Ben Shapiro's age, you shouldn't say that sort of thing. But we're talking about a 26-year-old. We're talking about someone who grew up during COVID, who saw world governments, globalist organizations get together and screw the public and lie again and get very rich off it. They saw the likes of Fauci. These are people that grew up on social media. These are people that grew up on 4chan. These are people that grew up in a world of memes where the idea is to say the last thing you expect to say or the last thing the reader expects to read. And Shapiro comes across here much like Piers Morgan when he was talking to Nick Fuentes as just like last century's man. It's like him saying, imagine going back 100 years and sort of some bloke comes on stage with a top hat and he sort of says, the other day I was walking down the road and he said to him, I heard two young people talking. And he said, one of them said to the other, hang on, I'm trying to think of some Victorian slurs. Has anyone got any Victorian slurs? I did have one, actually.
He's a bit of a cad.
Pardon? Yeah.
He's a bit of a cad.
You heal, you cad. It's just ridiculous. You're having a go at a bloke who has to talk for an hour and entertain people. That's his show. They're there for entertainment. They're there for the politics. And Shapiro's just sort of like, you just called him a heel. Oh, what a horrible thing to say. That generation doesn't care. They don't care about that.
You know, the Nick Fuentes who said that the Vice President of the United States is a, quote, fat gay race traitor married to a Jeet.
If you don't know, the J word is an insult that's gained a lot of popularity recently when Americans became aware of all of the Indians who have invaded our country, the non-assimilating Indians, most of whom came here with the H-1B visa loophole.
But the point is, it's obviously a joke. Fat, gay, whatever he said, Jeet, like, you might be offended by it, but didn't Shapiro used to talk about facts don't care about feelings, and didn't he used to talk about, censorship being a bad thing and that, but all of a sudden, Tucker Carlson interviewed someone who made some edgy jokes. Who'd have thought that was ever going to happen? This is the same Tucker Carlson who interviewed someone who made some jokes. It's like, okay, if that's where we're going, that's where you're going.
Person who said that Charlie Kirk was a, quote, retarded idiot.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Some of Charlie's policies, especially a few years ago, were Charlie giving thumbs up to gays adopting children, gay marriage, bringing Rob Smith on his tour, trying to celebrate him being a black.
Yeah, but Mark Dice, you're defending him too much. It's just funny. It's funny. No one's hurt. No one's damaged. No one's life has been changed. You know, I tried to do a video the other day. I'm still trying to make it. I'm scripting it. The third video ever I've scripted, and I'm trying to talk about the difference between public and private. And you know, just the things you say to your mates, all of you. I just can't imagine. You know, I know what I say to my friends. I know what I say to Packer after these videos. You know, I know what I say to people, and it is so private and so different to what I would say publicly, because there's laws in place to stop you saying it. Now, it's not meant to be in America. I mean, Ben Shapiro is now questioning the First Amendment. He's literally questioning the validity of the First Amendment here. Oh, he says awful things. He says awful things. That young whippersnapper says awful things. No one cares anymore apart from you and other people who share your interests.
Gay, conservative, DEI hire.
I mean, listen, I lived in Soho for God knows how long. The amount of gays that I knew, I used to go to the gay NA meeting on Monday nights on Frith Street because the stories were brilliant. They were absolutely amazing. They just went downhill. You'll be there going, fuck it now. But it's not unheard of for gays to use gay to another gay as a humorous pejorative. I heard it all the time. You know, it'd be like, get off me, you fucking queer. You know, they do it all the time. It's ridiculous. I tell you what, Bill, that meeting, if you're not doing too well and you need picking up a little bit, there's some of those stories. I'd walk out of there thinking, come to think of it, things ain't going too bad. Anyway, here's Grandad Shapiro still complaining about jokes. Shapiro, though, you know, 5 years ago, he's like a Democrat now. Oh, these young people, they're making jokes. Okay, what a terrible shame. I like a world with more jokes in it. I like a world with jokes because jokes reframe the Overton window. Essentially, they reframe it. They say, look, obviously, this isn't a rational... I haven't built up a rational definition of this person. I'm just going to throw some slurs at them because it's funny. And it sort of exposes its own lack of seriousness, because if it was actually serious, well, it could never be. Because so what? So what if you're fat, and so what if you're gay, and so what if you're from India? If you are those three things, you already know it. It's like, okay, you know, it's its own exposure. This really is like some pearl clutching granddad. Well done, Ben.
If you have that person on your show and you proceed to glaze him, you ought to own it.
That's Ben Shapiro's favorite word this year is glaze.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh.
Using Charlie Kirk's death to leverage hatred against Fuentes, and that isn't leveraging hate towards Fuentes, by the way. It's leveraging a mistrust of Fuentes' political ideas, which noticeably is glaringly absent. He hasn't actually said Fuentes is promoting this. He said this. No, he's just, these are character assassinations and weak AF as well.
For debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll.
Actually, Charlie knew that by ordinary Americans.
An evil troll. I mean, really? Really?
Just hearing questions about things like Israel's influence, Jewish supremacism, then the neocons and the Israel firsters would immediately start losing ground because the arguments need to be suppressed by the neocons. Otherwise, people start thinking and noticing a little bit too much.
And that's what Shapiro hasn't talked about. I wonder why. I wonder why it's an attack on someone's character rather than what they've said in a political context.
And that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up. And he ought to take responsibility for that.
What I think Mark Dice is about to say this, but what does that actually mean? What is the? How do you act? It's like accountability, isn't it? Oh, you should take responsibility for that. All right. What does he expect Tucker Carlson to do? Sort of make another video and say, I platformed Nick Fuentes and talk to him to find out what he thinks and why he thinks it. I done that because I don't really know how else you do that. And again, it's an empty, hollow gesture from Grandad Shapiro to just say he should take. Did he say accountability or responsibility? Either way, it's just another empty attack.
What exactly does taking accountability mean for having somebody on your podcast just asking about how they became so popular and why there's so much controversy around him? Of course, to Ben Shapiro and the Jewish clique, that means Tucker Carlson must be canceled. He must never be mentioned. He must never be allowed to speak at any events. He must be banished from the internet.
Look, I'm not pro-Hitler. I don't care about Hitler. And because of that, they say, I worship him. I admire him. I'm a Nazi. But because I don't have this mythological, I don't observe this mythological religion of Hitler and the Holocaust, they say I'm a goose-stepping Nazi. I'm Catholic. And as Americans, we need to step outside the shadow of that time period. And that's not a dog whistle to say, oh, it's time to start wearing brown shirts. It's to say, look, like that exists in the Jewish consciousness. It doesn't exist in ours. That's a Jewish bedtime story. It's not a bedtime story for us. Americans should get interested in America. I was born in 1998 in Chicago. What do I give a f about the Holocaust in Poland in the 1940s? He's a denier. Shame on you. Okay, whatever. Anyway, it's these people, man.
So not long after Little Ben's speech, Tucker Carlson took to the stage and responded in part.
And what Fuentes just said then is really important. Like, people my age and around my age, and I know from my analytics, that's most of the chat, or a fair percentage of the chat, we're children of people who were sort of born just after the war. Their parents lived through it. And so their parents would have told them a lot about it. Their upbringing, their education would have been all about it. It was, it was huge and understandably so. You've got not only have you got what went on in Germany, but you've got the atomic bombs on Japan. You've got concentration camps in nearly every country that's involved in the fight. And you've got the D-Day landings. You've got the America getting involved finally. I don't mean finally as in, oh, thanks. But, that happened. And understandably, that generation, it's sort of front and center as like something significant. and for certain groups, it will always be significant, and I understand that as well. But for people who grew up, what did Fuentes say then? 1998. No, he probably thinks more about the bullshit invasion of Iraq than he does the Second World War. I mean, even so, I'm not taking anything away from anyone who died in that, in many hideous things in any war. But it does. It's that sort of the Second World War liberal orthodoxy, which has been weaponized. There's countless examples of its weaponization. It's losing its kind of its gravitas, and history does that. Time does that. You know, there are movies made that celebrate Vikings. There are TV series that celebrate Vikings, and we love them. And they come out with all their face paint and all their hair, and they're buff as hell, and the women are all hot as hell, and they invade countries. And all these cutting people to pieces and ritual sacrifice. Well, that happened. That happened. People got murdered. People got raped. All sorts of hideous things happen to real people in real life. Little Jasmine from our jasmine plant outside. Okay. But no one, when those movies and those TV shows come out, I mean, there's probably one green-haired lunatic at Yale or something who says, we shouldn't glorify and glamorize the Vikings. But to IMDb, it's 7 out of 10, you know. It's like no one gives a shit. So Shapiro is a peculiar person at this stage and has become, and this is quite typical with humans whose agenda was never what they presented it to be, and as they get older, I never want to say the line Ben Shapiro has exposed himself, but in a way Ben Shapiro has exposed himself and what his agenda has always been by the fact that he has become that which he once criticized.
Whatever. Anyway, it's these people, man.
So not long after Little Ben's speech, Tucker Carlson took to the stage and responded in part like this.
I just got here and I feel like I missed the first part of the program. Hope I didn't miss anything meaningful.
So just in case you were having a bite of your Christmas cake or something there, whatever you think about Tucker, that's a great opener. Let's hear it again.
Oh, man.
So not long after Little Ben's speech, Tucker Carlson took to the stage and responded in part like this.
I just got here and I feel like I missed the first part of the program. Hope I didn't miss anything meaningful.
Oh, hey, Shapiro. and it's an absolutely fair call. I'm not going to just keep repeating myself, but you know, what did Grandad say? People were calling people each other names. Okay.
But I just want to say...
And loads of laughter. Sorry, listen to the response. There's no, ooh, you know, they like it. They like it because they were probably sick to death of Shapiro's polemicizing.
The first part of the program, hope I didn't miss anything meaningful. But I just want to say... I don't think I did. No, I'm just kidding. I watched it. I laughed. That kind of bitter, sardonic laugh that emerges from you when, like, upside down world arrives.
There you go. Exactly that. When Shapiro has become that which he once criticized, when upside down world arrives. Exactly that.
When your dog starts doing your taxes and you're like, wait, it's not supposed to work this way. To hear calls for like deplatforming and denouncing people at a Charlie Kirk event, I'm like, what? This is hilarious.
It really is absurd. It's absurd. It's like Shapiro is like a Democrat plant, although he isn't a Democrat plant. He's a plant from a country in the Middle East.
But I really thought that the impulse to deplatform people, or even to use the word platform as a verb, which it's not, it's a noun, don't steal my nouns, deplatform and denounce. Why haven't you denounced somebody else? The whole like Red Guard cultural revolution thing that we so hated and feared on the left that we did everything we could to usher in a new time where you could have an actual debate. I mean, this kind of was the whole point of Charlie Kirk's public life.
How dare you talk to someone? How dare you talk to someone? It's so unreasonable. It's bizarre. Feel free to donate, people. I'm working the socks off.
And I think that
Or a conversation.
I think that he died for it. I really believe that. And I know a lot about it because the last several months of Charlie's life were devoted in part to arguing about this event, in fact, this speech, in fact, my speech here.
And let's not forget, in the last few months of Charlie Kirk's life, he was slowly coming round to this idea that, is it America first for some people who say it is? Or is there another first being, Trojan horsed into Congress, into the House, into the Republican Party?
Which he asked me to do earlier this year, this summer, and was immediately put under just immense pressure from people who give money to Turning Point. I would assume good people, but who wanted him to take me off the roster. And this has all become public, and the whole thing is so sad that I never talk about it, except to say Charlie stood firm in his often stated and deeply held belief that people should be able to debate, and that if you have something valid to say, if you're telling the truth, you ought to be able to explain it calmly and in detail to people who don't agree with you, and that you shouldn't immediately resort to shut up racist.
Or shut up anti-Semites.
Or I agree with what Tucker Carlson's saying, but I'll go one step further. Even if it's not the fact that someone's got something to say, if someone's popular, if someone's getting views, if someone's one of the most watched podcasters in the world, that's someone that you should talk to, because that's how you get an understanding of how our world's working and what our people, what people are consuming, what content they're consuming, why are they consuming it. This is just basic. This isn't, the world needs more communication. The world needs more debate. Deplatforming and censorship, it separates people. It separates reality. Censorship doesn't only stop you from speaking, it stops you from hearing. And there are people making those distinctions. Look at the UK. Starmer and co., they're drawing lines in the sand where you can't say or hear this, which by definition means this exists. It's there. That exists. Would you be scared of it if it was lies? Or would you be scared of it if it was truth? Let's assume it's the latter. You're scared of it because it's truth. Well, that's out of bounds. You're not allowed there. You're going to get locked up if you go there. You're allowed to hear and talk about this side, but not that. And that is a cleaving of reality. That's taking the idea of reality and dividing it into two. Now, they can look at it, they can talk about it, they can debate it. You can't. You lumpen proletariat that have been abandoned to the sort of simulation of reality, what the media says, what propaganda tells you. But these truths, no, they're out of bounds. And that's dangerous. It's not just a cleaving of reality, but a cleaving of truth. And how are you meant to find the truth of your context, your situation, your people, your planet, your politics, your economy? How are you meant to actually, work with that? How's philosophy meant to deal with the world? How's economics meant to deal with the world? How's anyone meant to deal with the world when you can't even see it? When it gets to the point where you don't know it exists. This is what Orwell was talking about in 1984. It's rewritten. It's revised, and it just doesn't exist anymore. But it's happening in real time because of the changes in technology, developments in technology. It's absurd.
You shouldn't immediately go to motive. By the way,
Massive. It doesn't seem like the mic's so loud, but they're loving this. Listen.
Anti-Semites.
You shouldn't immediately go to motive. By the way, shut up racist is the #1 reason I voted for Donald Trump. And because I'm just sick of it. I mean, first of all, if I was a racist, if I was a bigot, I would just say so. Okay, it's America. You're allowed to be whatever.
Oh, quite interesting. My boy JP, I Hypocrite, put a video on YouTube a couple of days ago. I'm a racist. It's called that, or I am racist. And he just explains why he's a racist. And that's on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube. Let me just check, actually, because it might only be on X. Because I was a little bit like, whoa, that takes some balls. Okay. Here we go. Look, you might be able to see it. I don't know how this works. There you go. There's I Hypocrite. There are. Look, that's his last video. I am racist, and he explains himself. And why not? What if good. And yet we've got Ben Shapiro talking about deplatforming and this campaign of defamation on Tucker Carlson.
Whatever kind of person you want. I'm not. I'm sincerely opposed, have always been, and will always be. But the style of debate where you prevent the other side from talking or being heard because you immediately go to motive, well, I wonder why you're asking that question.
Or like little Ben and his clique of neocon friends wage an incessant campaign daily trying to get Tucker Carlson canceled.
Yeah, look out for it on X. It's brilliant. It's absurd. And I don't use that word lightly. It's absurd. The thing that, like, the way they get from A to B using example C is incredible. There's not really a logical journey. It's sort of like, he said this about this, but in this context I'm going to leave out, so don't like him. And you're like, what? And the ratio is brilliant. Block, 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 block. John Fuse drops in the Lady Godiva. I'll catch this stream back. Was out for the winter solstice. Oh, fair play to that. I didn't know that was today. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you and the missus have a good one, Chris. I will be streaming Christmas Day for all those people who may be alone or want an excuse to get away from their family for a couple of hours. I'll be trying to get us. I will be streaming Christmas Day, all right? I've got to look out. This is why I'm doing this one early, because I don't want to tread on Wose's shoes. I know his streams are a lot later, but if I'd done this and there was like an hour break before Wose's millennial, people might be like, oh, I've just done 2 hours stream, I've got work to do. So that's why this is so early, so that, I can just imagine the amount of work that goes into millennial, and I don't want to tread on his toes. So I'll have a look what time Wose is streaming on Christmas Day. So it'll probably be early in the UK, something like this, or 2:00 or something like that. So look out for it. Nice one, John, and happy Christmas to you and yours, and thanks for the support. Much appreciated.
Back Ben and his clique of neocon friends wage an incessant campaign daily trying to get Tucker Carlson canceled. In fact, this was Little Ben just, I think, the night before, if not 2 nights before, speaking at the Heritage Foundation.
Which brings us to Tucker Carlson, who has become, by any honest assessment, an opponent of conservatism, an outsider masquerading as an insider, and destroying the character of the conservative movement in the process.
If I heard that, if I heard someone say that, I'd think they were talking about Ben Shapiro. Listen to it again. What? I mean, he's just described himself. It's almost, you know, you could use this in a lecture about psychoanalysis and unconscious projection. It's obscene.
This was Little Ben just, I think, the night before, if not 2 nights before, speaking at the Heritage Foundation.
Which brings us to Tucker Carlson, who has become, by any honest assessment, an opponent of conservatism, an outsider masquerading as an insider, and destroying the character of the conservative movement in the process.
If you had to choose Carlson or Shapiro to that definition, I'd assume, I can't say for sure, I never say anything for sure, I'd assume most of you would think that was Shapiro, but who knows? There was this other thing that the Daily Wire, if you don't know, the Daily Wire is Shapiro's business, multi-million-dollar business that he's made out of neoconservatism. And what was that bloke, Shavin? That copper, I think, that got locked up.
Derek Shavin,
yeah, I think it was, yeah, something like that. Shapiro does this thing on the Daily Wire. This was about 5 months ago. And he said, we are going to get this Shavin character out of prison. We're gonna, get lawyers on board, and we're gonna get an appeal, and you can donate money and all this sort of stuff. All we need you to do at this stage is give us your email, and we'll get the ball rolling. But there's no chance of an appeal. I don't know US law well enough to give you the facts, but that geezer is not getting out of prison. It was what someone told me, that what Shapiro said could not happen. It isn't possible. If anyone in the chat knows about this more than I do, let me know. But what they were doing was farming emails, because an email list is worth a fucking fortune. If you can get 100,000 emails, you can set up a business that day and start selling things. That's how important an email list is. When you go to a website and, it will just come up. Do you want free special features? Sign up for our free, what would they call it? They have different levels, don't they? Free, basic, pro, expert. And you can sign up. It's free, but you'll be able to do this, this, and that. Okay, I'll do it. Because they just want your email. And that's when you'll start getting adverts sent into your email. And that's why Shapiro milking the sort of the anger that geezer got locked up, and a clearly unjust court case and an imprisonment, but leveraging that to build up your email list. It all just starts to stink. And I'm not embarrassed to say this. I was a lot younger. I was a lot more naive, and he played a blinder, really. But I used to think Shapiro was the nuts. I used to watch him arguing and his squeaky little really fast voice, and he'd be taking people out left, right and centre. And, he was one of my sort of heroes on the right. And I think it's fair to say a lot of people in the chat felt like that as well. But it's all just got very much about not America First and give me your money, give me your email, because I know you're angry. I know that injustice hurts, but I'll massage that for you for a chance to sell you things daily.
Says the guy who by default endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016, not supporting President Trump after he was the nominee, not voting for President Trump, saying that it would be better for conservatism if President Trump lost in 2016 to Hillary Clinton. I'm not going to pull up that clip. Regular viewers know, they've seen it. That's Ben Shapiro. Things got even more interesting during the Q&A session of the event when somebody who undoubtedly Ben Shapiro will label as a white supremacist.
A few people then just said he was doing very well against like 18-year-old students. I haven't got so much of a problem with that. I mean, you could argue that Charlie Kirk did the same. And, you know, at 18, can you drink in America, or is that 21? I don't know. Maybe it's on a state level, but you can vote. You can drive a car. You know, if you can drive a machine down the road at 70 miles an hour, and you voluntarily, you know, if you know that Ben Shapiro's coming to town and you've got an argument, well, you've got a week or two to research that inside out and put a logical argument together. Who edited those things, on the other hand, is a different matter. Maybe, I mean, it looked like it was 100% win. But maybe it didn't turn out. Maybe it wasn't like that. I don't know. But I also do admit there was an element of that for sure.
Anti-Semite Groiper asked about the USS Liberty.
You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism.
All right, hang on. Before we go into this, for people who don't know, it will only be the wiki because, you know, you're going to just need a rough understanding of it. But this is often brought up when people are talking about a certain country in the Middle East. The USS Liberty incident was an attack on a United States Navy technical research ship, brackets a spy ship. Don't forget that Wikipedia is like a what's the collective noun for leftists? A scum of leftists. You know, they kind of live there, changing everything, but you can sometimes get a little bit of truth. Anyway, it was an attack on the United States technical research ship, the USS Liberty, by Israeli Air Force jet fighter aircraft and the Israeli Navy motor torpedo boats on 8th of June 1967 during the Six-Day War. The combined air and sea attack killed 34 crew members, naval officers, seamen, 2 Marines and 1 civilian employee, wounded 171 crew members and damaged the ship. At the time, the ship was in international waters north of the Sinai Peninsula, about 2.5 nautical miles northwest from the Egyptian city of Erish. Israel apologized for the attack, saying the USS Liberty had been attacked in error after being mistaken for an Egyptian ship. Now, the story that I've heard many times, and you're about to hear, that it was flying the United States flag. There's a load of theories about why it actually happened, deep state sort of political maneuvering regarding the relationships between the two nations. Go and have a look into it yourself if you're interested. But I thought it was worth I thought it was worth giving you a little update on that before we hear this geezer.
You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded.
Yeah, well, just listen to the crowd at Turning Point USA, where Ben Shapiro paid to be the keynote speaker, when a geezer mentions the USS Liberty, which has never really been talked about in public since by people who were involved. Listen to the crowd.
Of American servicemen dead and hundreds.
Shapiro smiles there. He smiles as if to say, this old one. Yeah, look at his face. I'll try and pause it right at the bit.
With left dozens of American servicemen.
Yeah, look. It's almost like, hang on. Hang on, people. It's almost as if to say, when I see that expression, that's like the kid who nicked my lunch at school, and then when we were taken in to the headmaster's office, just before we went in, he went, "You mention it, and my brother's going to jump up and down on your head." And then when we got in the room, the headmaster said, "So you're saying he stole your lunch?" And I went, actually, I don't think it was him. And that's that kind of face. That's a face of someone who feels like they've got away with something and will continue to get away with something. That's what it looks like to me. I'm into my micro expressions. What can I say? Let's see what he says. Let's see where the young Benjamin deals with it.
Dead and hundreds wounded.
Listen to the crowd.
Listen to that response. There are no boos. There were a lot of people there who agreed with him. And everybody knows the implications of just raising this question. So it's clear that a large percentage of that audience has gone down a certain rabbit hole that Ben Shapiro has been spending his entire career trying to cover up. Little Ben then went on to give the official story of what supposedly happened during that event, and then, of course, insinuated that the person asking the question was anti-Semitic.
The people who frequently cite the USS Liberty, however, are not talking about the specifics of the USS Liberty. I suspect that the vast majority of people who bring this up are doing so in order to suggest that Israel deliberately attacked an American ship because Israel deliberately wants to harm America. It is connected generally with a larger...
It's a really weird kind of, he's reframing the question. He's putting words into that bloke's mouth. That bloke didn't say anything of the sort. So now Ben Shapiro, it's a cheeky debating technique to pretend to summarize. I'm summarizing your point so that I can then respond to it. Where what's actually happening is I'm going to redefine your point. I'm going to say something that completely different, and then when I answer that point, I know that I'll win because I've done this 1,000 times.
Point. I wonder if that's your point.
If the truth matters, then the...
Fair play, the kid just goes back to what he originally said. That kid was probably like, no, and then just repeats the question.
The Israeli government must be held accountable for that attack. The American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a...
Shapiro's body language is really uncomfortable when this geezer didn't fall for that trap of just agreeing with him and just repeated the question. It's a very strong from the questioner. Don't buy it. Don't fall for it. Don't think he's doing you a favor by, giving a summary. we're talking about the truth again here. Look at the way after he re-summarizes with a totally different question. Watch his body language. Watch his face.
If the truth matters,
Now,
then the Israeli government must be held accountable for
desperately
that
trying to stand
attack.
still.
The
We
American
can't.
flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American
Swallowed,
ship for a
moving,
foreign one when our flag is flying.
laughing.
And we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. liberty attack.
Listen to that response. Nobody was booing the kid for asking the question. They were, again, applauding him for the second time, showing, according to Ben Shapiro's view, that the Groypers have infiltrated Turning Point USA.
And again, I've questioned how Mark Dice has managed to maintain his YouTube channel all these years. And yet, again, I think a year ago, this may have got you banned. But now, apparently not. I mean, if you don't see me again, you'll know why. But he looked very awkward. He looked very uncomfortable. There was one bit when he looked down. Actually, I am going to show you it again. There's one bit where he looks down and he smiles. He looks down. There's a little sort of grin. It's very subtle, but I want you to see it. Thank you, love. It was delicious.
Must be held accountable for that attack.
It's just before he starts dancing.
American flag was flying on that ship. You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our flag...
I just missed it. Hang on.
You do not mistake an American ship for a foreign one when our...
There you go. Look, that's a grin. It's a grin. It's almost contempt. Contempt is the only micro-expression that's not symmetrical. It's asymmetrical. Usually in the mouth, it's hard to do without doing it. But he's got one eyebrow up. It's almost contempt. The mouth is like, it's like, you fucker. I know how to get out of this one. I rephrase the question, and then I've got a prepared answer. But you've just you've stuck to your guns. And that is a man smiling. That's a man smiling about the injuring of 171 American troops, the deaths of nearly 30, of a flag that was in international waters flying the American flag. Now, I don't know what happened, but no one does. No one really does. Someone does, but that, again, it's over this side of the truth cleaving. It's over this side of reality. And of course, this is when Ben does his little dance. You can keep it together vocally, but your face and your body will always give the truth away. Watch, it's like he does a little jig.
Flag is flying.
So, and we can spend the rest of the time talking about the specifics of the U.S. liberty attack.
Listen to that response. Nobody was booing the kid for asking the question. They were, again, applauding him for the second time, showing, according to Ben Shapiro's view, that the Groypers have infiltrated Turning Point USA, because the reality is that the majority of Generation Z young men who are politically interested, politically inclined, are not buying the Kool-Aid that Ben Shapiro and the neocons have been feeding all of us for generations. Tucker Carlson brought up Ben Shapiro's despicable insinuation against that young man, saying this.
Why do you have to imply that some college kid is like some kind of Hitlerite or something because he's asking about an event? Like, what? By the way, it is okay to ask questions. And I thought that was like the whole reason we were against the left. They're not going to force you to get up there and make ritual denunciations because this isn't my religion, it's politics. By the way, your politics do not trump my love for other people.
And while many of the young men in Gen Z, and really others, like to bring up the USS Liberty as a way to kind of open the conversation about Israel-U.S. relations, Ben Shapiro did show that it's rather easy to just kind of deflect from that by claiming the official story, which has sort of a built-in plausible deniability narrative. Other topics, however, like the Lavon affair, which is an Israeli
It was amazing that Shapiro went. I mean, we could spend time looking into the specifics of the USS Liberty. Well, all right, why not? But they don't. They didn't. You can watch the whole of the Turning Point thing. It's online. It's not that good. Bannon's good as usual. No way. Ritalin solution. Yep, Devon. We're not talking at the moment. We fall out from time to time. I'll always have time for him though. I had about 300 subscribers. He mirrored one of my videos, and I woke up to 2,000 subscribers. And when in about 2 months, I had 15,000. 4 months, I had 19,000. And then I started talking about immigration, and it's been at 19,000 for 10 years. Although I've had over 100 new subscribers this month. I think that's from Millennial. The book might have helped as well, but probably the Millennial. Yeah, he's quick. He's quick too, but we've got back together and been mates in the past. I heard he fell out of all the OG Flying Monkeys at one point, but I like him a lot, I like him a lot. I remember once he put on Twitter, anyone who likes Jordan Peterson can consider themselves unfriended. And I replied, I said, well, I don't agree with everything he says. That was enough. That was enough. But, the thing about when you take someone like Devon, he's an intense character. I've met him a few times and we've had tea and that. He's an intense character, and if you want to enjoy that part of their personality, they tend to be intense in other parts of their character as well, and so you have to take that on. I remember Will Self said to me once. Will Self got caught smoking heroin in the Conservative Party campaign jet aeroplane, and he said words to the effect of, it's funny. He was right. He was covering the campaign for the Observer, which is the Guardian, on Sunday, and I don't want to put words in his mouth and get him in trouble, but he said things like, I get employed because they know I'm a bit of an outsider, a bit of a naughty boy, and then when I am a naughty boy, they don't like it. And I kind of understand that. Oh, nice one. Nice to see you. Simply Simple. Anyway, I haven't seen it from here on in, but I think there's a few. Dice is going to give a few examples.
False flag attack is indisputable and admitted. Same with the King David Hotel bombing. Same with the Lehigh, also known as the Stern Gang, a Zionist terrorist group that was basically like the ISIS of early Israel, trying to establish their caliphate, their Jewish homeland through...
John, everyone, according to you, is a pantomime or is bread and circuses. Who do you trust? Who do you study? Who do you get your information from? Because you're always calling people out for being bullshitters or, pantomime actors and false flags and clowns. And you may be right, for all I know. But who do you go to? Where do you get your, because I haven't ever seen you support someone. So I'm only asking out of interest, where do you get your information from? What political or philosophical or even economic figures do you sort of trust? It would be nice to know, because it's easy just to continually slag everyone off. But if your answer is there's an issue with that, because there's no learning. Anyway.
Terrorism. And because of the very fascinating awakening that has occurred in Gen Z and really across the country, since the dam is broke, the gatekeepers can no longer prevent people from talking about Jewish influence, Israeli influence, and other forbidden topics. Now, at every Turning Point USA event, the speaker is asked questions like this.
Is it America first for senators, Congress, and even our president to take money from AIPAC?
Is it America first to take money from a foreign lobby so you'll send taxpayer dollars to that country?
And send our troops over there and, get involved in wars on their behalf, just doing their dirty work on behalf? Of course not.
Even the question kind of answers itself. Obviously,
it's an amazing answer from Tucker. I kind of talked over the geezer's question, but we all know what he's talking about, although he doesn't specifically mention it. But Tucker's answer is brilliant. And you can imagine young little Ben in the back row, just like nodding up and down, like on the edge of a seizure.
Israeli influence and other forbidden topics. Now, at every Turning Point USA event, the speaker is asked questions like this.
Is it America first for senators, Congress, and even our president to take money from AIPAC?
Is it America first to take money from a foreign lobby so you'll send taxpayer dollars to that country?
And send our troops over there and, get involved in wars on their behalf, just doing their dirty work on behalf? Of course not.
Even the question kind of answers itself. Obviously, it isn't.
Question, of course, that Ben Shapiro doesn't want people to ask. But now, like I said, that cat's out of the bag.
And that's not an attack on Israel. It's certainly not anti-Semitism, despite the efforts of many to claim that it is. It's just an obvious statement. And the fact that...
Again, note the applause.
The fact that people are attacked for asking the question. This is something that I talked to Charlie a lot about in his final months, because he was being attacked as an anti-Semite for asking that question. We've memory hold that, but I was there, so I saw it. That's not the right way. Don't attack people's motives.
I'm serious. These kinds of questions are now commonplace at Turning Point USA.
And they're commonplace all over the internet. Like I said, the Fuentes Morgan thing would have usually, a couple of weeks died down. It's just Fuentes seems to be doing 2 or 3 podcasts a day. It's ridiculous. John did get back to us. Infinite Plane Society on YouTube does good work these days, breaking down the world stage. A Call for an Uprising, I also recommend. All right, fair play, John. I'll have a look at them. I will do. Let me get a timestamp, 1:42. All right, I'll check them out. There you go. Nice one. I will definitely have a look. But how do you know they're not? Well, I'll have a look at them and I'll see. I'll have a look. Nice one. Appreciate the answer. James says, I find them all sus, but if they push that window to more and more of our people, I'll take it. I mean, I just think that people want these things to happen overnight, and, politics is slow. It's a slow thing. It takes a lot of time. And, the phrase you hear all over the internet is, he's not our man. He's not our guy. He's not really our guy. He's not he's not. But he is a step further towards, and you don't get to go from A to G. You have to go A, B, C, D, E, F before you get to G. So you take what you can get, and things are certainly looking better now than they were a few years back. Well, I say certainly. You could question that they are. But this is now a mainstream argument. This is what this video is made for. It's not just a turning point. The Overton window has shifted that much, far much further than I thought it would in such a small time. I just said politics is slow, and yet now the idea that Israel has so much impact in Congress, congressmen and women, and in terms of money going to Israel, in terms of soldiers fighting wars. That is, you could argue that Israel has wanted, yeah, yeah, there are wars that they have wanted for a long time, and they get them in the end. And it's American troops that go there, while meanwhile the borders of Israel seem quite strong and tight, and yet Western borders are continually being attacked for daring to even exist. And this is mainstream debate now, as it should be. There should not, that nothing is off the cards. Nothing. Because you don't get anywhere by not talking about things. Nothing grows, no one learns by dividing reality, by dividing truth. And that is so basic. You learn that at school, not even university. And yet we have been manipulated by people who look at England, look at what is it? Couple of thousand, 10,000 or whatever people locked up for things they've said. It's ridiculous. So this isn't just a turning point thing. This turning point AmFest thing is just a very good example of a larger social media change in what's accepted discourse.
Vince. Here is Vice President J.D. Vance, who was filling in for Charlie on one of his scheduled stops of his planned tour, being asked another forbidden question.
I'm a Christian man, and I'm just confused why that there's this notion that we might have owe Israel something, or that they're our greatest ally, or that we have to support this multi-$100 billion foreign aid package to Israel to cover this, to quote Charlie Kirk, ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
They memory hold that too. Regular viewers know there's a clip of that. I'm not even going to pull it up. Charlie Kirk said what Israel was doing to Palestinians was an ethnic cleansing. Not to be confused with a genocide. It's a totally different thing.
Fair play to Zeitgeist. I think that is absolutely on the money. He said this is a battle for control of Turning Point USA, because Charlie was being groomed for the presidency in 15 to 20 years. And now there's a vacuum that needs to be filled. I think it's fair to say, I'd certainly hope that it ain't going to be Shapiro. He's already on the back foot after AmericaFest. Fair play, Zeitgeist. I hope you're well, mate.
But it was and is an ethnic cleansing.
I'm just confused why this idea has come around, considering the fact that not only does their religion not agree with ours, but also openly supports the prosecution of ours.
Yeah, he meant persecution. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about what is this kid, 16? He's not concerned about the Second World War. It's like 100 years ago to him. It might as well be 500 years ago to him. What does concern him is what's happening now, what has happened since the liberal orthodoxy of the Second World War that has been weaponized against white people as a whole, white men as a subset, and young white men especially, who've gone through a feminized education system, a feminized Hollywood, a feminized media, a feminized news network. They're the last people who are likely to get jobs when they come around because of all the DEI hires, and we need 50% women working here with nothing to back up that ridiculous idea. That's what he's concerned with, and he is concerned with it because it's affecting his life today. And that's why he asked that question. Fair play to him.
Yeah, so
more positive response from the crowd there.
Again, note the applause. Years ago, these kinds of questions would get booed, or people would be so confused they wouldn't really understand them. But
yeah, just 2-3 years ago.
now. The Overton window has changed. The culture has changed. Conservatism is being restored to paleoconservatism. And the neocons are panicked. And what I'd like to see next, what should happen next, what must happen next for the sake of restoring our culture and preserving our heritage is, and I give a word of caution to the Gen Z young men and others, because this is a mission for only a select few.
Baz, I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. I mean, I agree with Mark Dice. She should have grieved her husband. Yeah, people grieve in their own ways. So, but I don't think she should have gone on that Tears tour she went on. I don't know a lot else about her, but I wouldn't have done that. She's in a difficult situation at the moment. You know, there's a lot of people looking at her. I don't know.
Few people at this point maybe would be raising awareness of and pushing back against the Ginos, the Jews in name only, who are the ones waging the war on Christmas. Like the one who wrote this op-ed in the Washington Post saying, "Don't wish me a Merry Christmas. Don't wish anybody a Merry Christmas because it's impolite."
Right, we'll stop it there, but I have got a comment on that. So this is from the Washington Post, and it's someone who isn't a Christian complaining that people, you know, just out of the kindness of their art, because it's Christmas, which is largely secular anyway. I mean, how many people go to church? Weirdly, we used to as kids on acid. Admittedly, going to mass on acid is one of the best things you could ever do. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you shouldn't. But it was a regular thing for us every year to go to midnight mass on acid, and that's a spiritual thing. I'll tell you that much. You all go in laughing, thinking this will be a laugh, and you all come out like, this article. Please don't wish me Merry Christmas. It's impolite and alienating to assume I follow your religion. Do you understand what that does? That right there is proof that there's no such thing as multiculturalism. You can't have it. Because if we can't have, if Christians or people from Christian heritage can't have Christmas, and it's wrong to assume that I follow your religion. So in a multicultural society, you can't talk about like the Festival of Light. What is it, Diwali? Or you can't talk about Eid or Ramadan. No one can talk about any of their culture. So a multicultural society actually becomes an inverse and empty monoculture where no one has a culture. It's weird that it's called multicultural, where you actually end up with no culture. And the way they deal with that is they'll give you a couple of minutes of hate a week. They'll give you a couple of minutes of celebration a week, etc., etc. I mean, all over the internet, all the platforms I use. Happy holidays. What? I'm not going on holiday. What are you talking about? It's Christmas. and here's a weird thing. All the people I talk to in China, well, I used to when I used to work for business. They're Chinese people, right? Buddhists. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope you have a prosperous and happy New Year. They're not complaining. They're not that bitter. They're not that pathetic. They're not that full of so much full of resent and hatred. No, they wish you a happy and Merry Christmas. Not just what this isn't. I'm not just taking one example. Every year, me and my staff, my old staff, we used to laugh at it because they all send you pictures of holly and ivy and and Christmas trees and all that because they're not threatened. They're not threatened by it. They're not weak. It's incredible stuff. Okay, where's my damn cursor? there, and there. Bosh. Well, there you go, people. That's 2 hours. That's me done. It's Sunday night here. It's late. Let me just drop that out. I think we'll go. Let me just do this. The grift wasn't great, but it's all right. I understand it's Christmas, so everyone's spent all the money they haven't got. I get it. I'll tell you what, it's a lovely thing about being out here. I do miss Christmas, so Wendy sent me out. Like last year, Wendy sent me a Christmas cake, and I ate all of it. And my missus was pissed. And she sent me a stollen. She's Marky Mark, who comes in the chat. I've known the pair of them. I've known Mark since we were 11. If you've read my book, you know when Mark comes in, that's him. That's Mark. Yeah, lovely bloke. And I ate all of it. And my missus said to Wendy on the chat, she went, he ate it all. So this year, when we got a parcel through from work, the last one, and whenever I got a parcel from work, I'd get a load of things I needed in it that I can't get out here. Crack. Yeah. She sent 2, one with my name on it, one with my girlfriend's name on it. And my missus was cracking up. What a lovely thing to do. Anyway, I'll do that. I do want to thank everyone who's left a review for my book. If you have finished reading it, it would be handy for me, really helpful for me to leave a review. Make sure you log into your account before you leave the review. Otherwise, it won't be a verified purchase. And although the ones that aren't verified purchases go up, they don't help the algorithm. And you don't have to do an essay. The perfect algorithm, the perfect review for an Amazon algorithm is something like a title like, I couldn't put it down, I couldn't stop reading it, I can't stop thinking about it, a hook of a title, and then words along the lines of, this took me, the feeling, it brought back feelings of when I was 14, it took me back to those crazy times at school and falling in love, and, just 3 or 4 sentences, 5 stars, of course. And that'll be lovely. If you haven't read it, there's a link in the description. You can get it on Amazon. You'll be able to get it on Waterstones later on in the year. There's an endorsement on the top by a leftist. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look, he's got a bookmark in it. Incredible. Are you enjoying it still, Packer?
Yeah, I'm eking it out now. I'm literally eking it out. I don't want to finish it because I know what you're like.
Yeah, it stops a bit brutally. Have you got to the library yet?
Oh yeah. You've yeah. You've done that.
Have you got to Louise yet?
No, I don't think so.
It creeps up on you. Oh no way, lovely. A couple of soup.
She gets a mention before that, didn't she?
Yeah, it creeps up on you, that one. Yeah. Arklow, apologies. I wrote you an essay earlier on Substack. Yeah, I went to that. So there's an answer on Substack for you. If you want to talk more about that, because I don't think I really will be talking about Western metaphysics in my next novel. But I think there might be a rabbit hole for you to go down if that is your cup of tea. But Arklow says this, and for the grift, good to see all hands here. We are past the solstice and brighter days are ahead. Oh, so now your days are getting longer. I tell you what, I say it every stream about around this time of year, but it's those short days that really got me as I started getting older. Oh, nice one, Arklow. If you haven't seen that message, get a cup of tea, put your feet up. I've just started answering. Sorry to hear. I'm not going to go into the details because this is public, but sorry to hear about your very sad news. But yeah, there's a message over there for you. Nice one for the support. Appreciated as ever. Arklow, you've done that twice. You've just given me 20 quid.
You can undo it.
I can undo it. Oh, I can or he can?
I think he can.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. Apparently, you can do something about that. Ask ChatGPT if you can. ChatGPT will tell you how to do it, or Grok or Gemini or any of the large language models. There's many available. But either way, thank you very much. Right, people, I will be putting your messages on the screen, which is another way of saying you can donate for the next 3 minutes. I will be looking over at Buy Me a Coffee, which is that QR code above Packer's head that he's now pointing at. Oh, he looked up. Amazing. Packer, you looked up. Boy, Packer, is that actually there in your house? Imagine one day you went like this and pulled it down. It was a cake. Man, if I could animate, that would be amazing. One day you went, what was that? What does that remind me of? Geese used to, like a cartoon where I'd draw things and then they'd chalky. I think it was called Chalky. I'm going back to about 1976 here, and it was like all a chalk drawing, and they'd like he was drawn in chalk, sort of, and it was all a bit sort of, probably stop frame animation, and they'd draw like a bike, and they'd get on it, and then I might have to have a look. Let's see if we can find some now. No, I've got to go.
Literally chalk on paper, and he drew it along as he went, sort of thing.
That rings a bell, but that sounds like something else.
All right.
Anyway, listen, thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you for everyone who engaged in conversation and comes to watch the stream. Amazing. And most of all, thanks to this wonderful community. It's a privilege and a pleasure to still be part of it. Packer, I'm going to let you go. I'll see you in a bit, no doubt. And this is where you'll see... Ta-da! Ta-da! Look at that. It's not real. It's not real. Look. It's not a real apothecary. Look, I can't actually get my 5 grains of morphine. Here's some music for you. Look after yourselves, people. I will be doing a stream on Christmas Day, so if you're on your Jack Jones or you want to get away from your family for a few minutes, look out for that. I will. You notice this stream, I advertised it a day before. I'm going to try and do that a bit more often, because then that way, if you don't get notified, you might see it on Telegram or Twitter, or you might just see it on YouTube even. So here's a bit of music that you might appreciate. Ta-da, people.
All the world.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. When Zeitgeist drops in $79.99, he says, loving the book, just past the VHS escapade. Your brother's reactions is priceless, still laughing. Bless you, Zeitgeist. Thanks for that very generous donation. Everyone's donations are generous, but yours is scarlet red. My brother said, me and my brother aren't the best of friends, right? But we really bonded when my mum died, and we were stuck in our old house together for 6 weeks. And the other day he sent me a video of his table, and there was nothing on it. And he went, oh, what shall I do today? And he went, I think I'll have a read. And he's bought my book, which really touched me. And then I was sitting there thinking, oh, fuck. But what I tried to do, and I think you've just nailed it, the narrator's 14, so, he calls his brother a spotty fat twat and things like that. But I do give him some great lines in that book, I think. He was like that. Mumford always says that the reason I can be quite quick and brutal is because I grew up with my brother, and my brother was a bastard, man. So I'm so glad you're loving it. It means so much to me. Just don't take this the wrong way. I know you're just one person, but even one person, what a lovely thing to say. I'm loving it. I wrote it and you're loving it. Yeah, that VHS thing, all totally true. Does this remind you of anything? Cliff Thorburn, eh? That was a weird one. Thank you, Zeitgeist. Anyway, back to the tunage. Let me know you can hear it.
All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land are meant to know. The joy of loving is to live in the world of mankind. There's a someone who's waiting for you. Soon the world will be yours for a time. Music starts to play, night will turn to day. Darkness disappears when the one you love is near. You're in mankind. All the world loves the lover. All the girls in every land are meant to know. Joy of loving is to live in the world of mankind. There's a place that is waiting for you, a world where the best in life is free, where time is always spring, happiness is king. The dreams you dream come true when the one you love loves you. You're in mankind.
Willow, this book took 4 months. It ain't the other novel. Not the other novel. This one was months by. Nearly killed me. You know, maybe still buy it. Still up yourself, mate.
All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land.
Thanks for having me, Qatar. Thanks for having me. Nice one, mate.
Is to live in the world of mankind.
We're going to have this conversation, young David. And there you go, people. The wonderful Mundom. Charlie Bronson. It's not really. It's Jerry Wallace. What am I doing here? I'm pressing that one. I don't think they did. I'm always confused. Were they nuclear bombs or atomic bombs? How do I get... I don't like that. I don't like that. I could have bought a green screen that was bigger, but it was like another 20 quid. I don't like that. That's not... That's that cleaving of reality I was talking about, you know. Here we go. Actually... There must be a way I can do something about that. It ain't that. That's not the answer. Anyway, look after yourselves, people. I will... What's the day today? It's the 22nd. I'll probably do another stream before Christmas. But if I don't, I'll definitely do a stream Christmas Day. So if you're on your Jack Jones and... Zeitgeist has been a member for 58 months. No, you haven't. You've been around here for a lot longer than that. Bless you, mate. Much appreciated. I thought it was just Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And there's that story about the fella that found out they were going to bomb one of them and he moved his family to the other one that they bombed. I mean, it's not really funny, but the unluckiest man alive, they call him, or something. There is another unluckiest man alive. He was an inventor. The first thing he invented was putting lead in petrol because it makes it work better, but it also kills everyone. And the next thing he invented was, what are they, chlorofluorocarbons or something? You know, the stuff they put in fridges that kills the ozone layer. They were his 2 big inventions. Look after yourselves, and here's a little Hoyt.